la suerte de que nos acompañe un eterno, una leyenda. ¿Entiendes eso, no? You understand that?
No, I don't. You gotta tell me.
Gary Payton, el gran jugador que ganó unas finales en el 2006 con el equipo de Miami, también estuvo en finales en el 96 con el equipo de Seattle, también estuvo con los Lakers. Llamaban el guante por su gran dote como defensa y también su boca no dejaba de trabajar. I'm going to start with today's basketball. You were known as a great defender, probably the best defender, certainly in your position at the time you played. When you have 5 shooters on the court, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
Well,
you're the smallest defender, and you may have to switch onto somebody else. How would you have dealt with that?
See, it was different in my day. We wouldn't have switched. We wouldn't have switched on to another person that's bigger than us or a shooter than us and let them wind up like today's basketball. With our coaching in Seattle, we'd have trapped it. We'd have hedged underneath. We'd have tried to stay with our thing. We would have rotated help and then ran and switched to other players. So it would have been a little bit different. But in this day and era, you got to be accountable for yourself. You got to be able to know how to play somebody or be a one-on-one defender. That's why they're putting a pick and roll, because they want the weaker defender to be on the best shooter and the best player at the time, and then you got to be accountable for that. You can't be the weak link.
5 to shoot. Williams beats it to Payton off to the right. Long jumper by Payton. Oh!
You played in a great basketball era. If I had to ask you, in your prime and when they were in their prime, give me 5 players of your era that would have made the kind of legend team of your specific era compared to, for example, Curry, Durant, Harden, James of the current era, and Westbrook of the current era. Who would be your 5 of your era?
Well, the 5 of my era, I would have to go with Jordan. I would have to go with Kobe. I would have to go with Karl Malone, and then Shaquille. And then, you can put either one of any point guard in there. You can put Magic because he was in my era a little bit. You can put John Stockton, who was in my era a little bit. Tim Hardaway, Kevin Johnson, myself. We have a lot of them, but with the one guy I would put at a point guard to do with them would be John Stockton.
Of course, he's very humble. He's taking himself out of the discussion right away, just as a basic rule. Who would have won these things? Most people look at the 5 players right now and they look and go, wow, the best that ever played. You've had a little perspective. The rules were different then than they are now. There's a lot of different things going on, but good players are good players. How would you have done in today's era? How these guys have done in your era?
We couldn't know that because we can't even evaluate that type of situation. Most of these kids nowadays say their era is better than our era. But we all were 18, 19, 20-something years old, and we both were athletic at the same way. We don't know. We can't go back in time and say that and put them in our time, and we come up here in our time, in our era, in their age. We all are great basketball players. That's just the way it goes. But we can't say who will win or whatever. Our team did the same thing. Like Golden State is doing here, Cleveland is doing here. The Jordans did that. We did that. The Utahs did that. The Houstons did that. We all did that. We had Dream. We had Olajuwon. We had a lot of great basketball players.
You were known as a trash talker, but I think trash talk doesn't do justice to the way you conducted yourself in the court. I would call it strategic communication. And my question to you is more than the specifics of what you said, is the timing and the strategy of what you said. Would you try to get in somebody's brain because you felt they were vulnerable? Would you do it when you were ahead, when they were ahead to get them off their game? When and how would you decide to chirp and work on someone mentally with your words?
Well, I'll do it every time. That was what I came in to do. That was my motivation. That wouldn't get me there. If you do it at a certain time, it doesn't work. You got to have it be in their head from day one. Get in somebody's head from day one. Keep chirping at him. That's why all of the coaches used to always say, please don't start talking to him, to get him fired up and get him motivated and get him going. Let him alone. Leave him alone. And then when they see me chirping a little bit more and more and more, then they say, well, we're going to have a problem with him tonight, a tough problem. So I would do it every day, all day.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the finals. Gary Payton, una leyenda.
The Miami Heat, they've done it. They won